from this week's press conference. FAMU is coming off a victory against Delaware State 52-30, moved up in the FCS rankings, 15th in the coaches and 16th in the stats poll, number one in black college football in all the polls. Coach, you got a bye week this week. Can you talk about how happy you are with your team's performance last week and what you guys looking forward to going into the bye week and preparing for Howard?
Well, another great win for the program. Happy to continue the winning streak. Show that the guys are really doing a good job of kind of blocking out the outside noise and just focusing on what we can control, which is how we prepare every day. Again, I thought that our guys started fast last week to be able to go up 31-0, 31-3 at halftime. Gave us a nice cushion. I came out the second half, tried to get some younger guys in the game. Due to some turnovers and big plays by them, we were forced to put the starters back in and kind of close the game out. But overall, I thought it was maybe our most complete game offensively. Threw the ball well like we've done all year. Had our highest output rushing, which was good to see. And defensively, caused some turnovers, gave up a couple of big plays, and they ran the ball against us, something we had been really good against all year. But and then special teams was able to get a kick return for a touchdown, which is always good to see. And so played a kind of a complete game. Still have some things to work on, obviously, but feels good going into the bye week knowing that you played one of your best games. And now it gives us a chance to really get healthy, which is always first and foremost during the bye week. Get healthy, allow our guys some extra time academically to get caught up. We've missed some games, or some classes rather, because we've had to leave on some Fridays for games, and want to give those guys a chance to really make a lot of that work up. And then as a coaching staff, we want to really focus on recruiting and trying to get caught up in that regard. Obviously, during football season, it's hard to emphasize and focus on both at this level. We don't have the manpower of the FBS Power 5 programs to have guys watch film all day while we're game planning. So we've kind of taken a step back from the game planning for a couple of days to really just get caught up on recruiting film and try to get a good list together of guys that we can go out and recruit here in a few weeks and starting in late November, early January. So that's the main focus, though. Academics get caught up, get healthy. We've got a lot of guys on the injury report that we got to get back healthy, and then finally, as a coaching staff, get caught up in recruiting.
Coach, amongst your players, what is the energy in the locker room? I mean, you talk about the offensive game is booming right now with Ryan Stanley breaking records. Your running game is seeming to come into play now, even on defense. You got a lot of defensive stoppers. How do your guys feel? Usually in locker rooms, some players beat themselves up when they feel that they could have done, much better on the field, or not. But what's the energy like in the locker room?
Well, there's a lot of excitement, obviously, but I think the biggest thing that I see from my guys is a level of humility. We still feel like there's a lot of football left to be played. We still feel like there's a lot more that we can accomplish as a football team. There's a lot better. We can get a lot better as individuals, as respective units. And so that's the mindset of our guys. Again, every week I ask them the same question, and that question is, are we satisfied? And again, the resounding answer is no, we're not satisfied. We're blessed to be where we are, but we're not satisfied. We understand that there's a lot of football left to be played. Our goals are still out there on the table for us to achieve, and we're going to do the most that we can every single day to make that possible. And that's that motto of being where our feet are. Right now, we're in a bye week. How can we best utilize our time during this bye week? And if we're focusing on accolades or championships and all of that, well, we're not focusing on getting caught up academically like we should be. We're not focusing on getting as much treatment as we can this week, being that we don't have to prepare for a game on Saturday. And so that's what we're kind of focusing on, make sure that these guys stay dialed into what they can control on a daily basis. And I think we've done a good job of that this year, and that's why we've had the on-field and off-field success that we've been able to have.
I know with recruiting, you're looking at all 11 positions on offense and defense. Are you going to go outside of Tallahassee this week, or for this week, your visitations and maybe Friday night games will be here in the Big Bend?
Yeah, the plan is to try to get out as far as we can. Obviously, we start here locally, with Tallahassee in the Big Bend area, and so we have some coaches who are designated for this recruiting area. I spend most of my time here locally, but we will get out to Atlanta. We'll get down to South Florida, Central Florida, and try to see some high school games this week as well. So you want to try to utilize the bye week as much as we possibly can with the free time that we have. but we will try to get to some places outside of the Big Bend area because, again, with our statewide recognition, with our national brand, obviously there's a lot of interest in Florida A&M, and that interest stretches farther than the Big Bend area.
What have you been hearing with the buzz of 8-game winning streak and national rankings, first in the HBCU polls? Does that spike players' interest from that you're recruiting?
I think not more so guys that we maybe haven't heard from, but the guys that we have been hearing from, they're excited. There's a lot of excitement from local guys. We have a lot of local players who are garnering a lot of attention from prospective colleges, and we're in those conversations, and that's a good thing. So when the mid-majors come in to recruit our guys and they still want to come to FAMU games, they still want to talk to me and other coaches on social media platforms, that's a sign of things trending in the right direction. And so that's really the biggest thing I look for is what's the interest level of the guys that we've been kind of reaching out to, even if some of them are high-profile recruits. But the reception has been really good, and that's a good thing for this program moving forward.
When you see that locally too, though, does that say, okay, before when they wanted to leave and now they do want to play for kind of their hometown college, does it kind of reassure, like, okay, we're doing things right here?
It really does. We have some phenomenal football players here. Of course, covering high school sports every year. There are a ton of guys from the Big Bend area who go on to sign FBS, Power 5 and mid-major scholarships, even at the FCS level. And so to have contact and interest from a lot of those guys who, like I said, now want to come to FAMU games, whereas in the past maybe that wasn't the case, who are retweeting the things that we're doing, who send me a screenshot of our top 15 ranking, and all those things. So again, it does show that the program is trending in the right direction. It shows that the news is getting out there about the success that we're having on the football field, and that's a good feeling. That's where recruiting starts. Is with the information getting out there, really positioning our program to be recognized by prospective student athletes. And now that they are, we can get them to campus. Now we have a chance to maybe close some of those deals. And that's in recruiting. That's what you want to do. We know we can't win them all, but if we can win a handful of them, especially here with our local talent, I think that really bodes well for the future of this program.
Coach, you got a couple of guys whose names are constantly up front: Ryan, Xavier, McKay. You get up close to these guys, and they're just like everybody else. There's no superstar mentality around these guys. Is that part of your doing, or they just know how to stay grounded on their own?
Well, that's something we talk about. Humility is something that we all want to have within this program. And like I said, we're very blessed to be where we are. Ryan's extremely blessed to be the all-time leading passer. In this press conference the other day, he gave thanks to God, and that's something that we're not ashamed of. We're not ashamed to say that we're blessed. We're not ashamed to thank God for the success that we've had through this game of football. And I think that humility is what allows us to continue to work. You heard from Xavier after the game. It's just the approach: work, get back to work, do it every day, act like it's never happened. And I think that's the mindset that these guys are really carrying. And I'd like to say that comes from me, but I think that comes from the leadership that we have in this team. Elijah Richardson's a very humble person. Terry Jefferson's very humble. Ryan Stanley, Xavier Smith, all the guys that have had great success, DeMontre Moore, Chris Fadul. You never hear them talking about their own accolades and their own achievements. You hear them talking about the team. When you see guys retweet stuff, it's retweeting about the team success. Ryan doesn't tweet his accolades. Somebody else might on the team, but he doesn't tweet his own. It's other guys who pump up their teammates, and that's what a brotherhood is, and that's what we want to continue to develop here at FAMU, and I think that's what, again, has helped us stay humble and grounded and continue to press forward.
Coach, in regards to Xavier, 4 touchdowns last week, that's school record for a game. Just how impressed have you been by him this season? And how cool is it to get to see a guy like that on ESPN later that night?
It really is. It's cool, man, to just look up and see, Galloway give us a helmet sticker and even said our name right. A lot of times you get people say FAMU on ESPN, and we got to make sure, Brian, we send the message out that it's FAMU. But again, it couldn't have gone to a better person. Xavier's one of the hardest working guys I've ever been around, but one of the most humble individuals that you'll ever see. I mean, you never see him say a word. He's not a trash talker. He's not a guy that wants to be in the spotlight. I mean, you hear what he said. Ryan makes the throws easy. Well, Xavier's making Ryan look good a lot of times as well. It's not just Ryan throwing dimes. He throws some really good passes. But the first touchdown, I mean, Xavier had to reach back and catch it behind his head and get his foot down and bounce for the score on the screenplay. I mean, we missed the block on the perimeter. He broke a tackle and went to the house on the other touchdown. I mean, he got a step and he and the guy toe to toe, foot to foot, basically. And he just runs away from the guy, So, I mean, he's as talented as I've seen at this level, given his size. And he's not a big guy at all, but he's a special football player. And the scary part is Xavier's only a sophomore on the football field. He's got a lot of football left to play here at Florida A&M, and I can't speak prematurely, but I don't think his last playing days will be at FAMU. I think this kid has a future that will take him to great heights in this sport. But again, couldn't be to a more deserving guy.
These past few games, I mean, tough-nosed games, you guys have had your bumps and bruises. Just how pertinent is this bye week in just trying to get healthy?
I think it's very critical. We've had a grueling 8-week stretch. And Southern game was very physical. Then we got right into conference play. When you come down to the wire on games like that, it's physical. I mean, we didn't have any games aside from last week in Fort Valley where we've been able to pull the starters out and rest them. I mean, every game has come down to the wire. And so, we've earned the right to have a bye week and kind of get rested up a little bit. Because, again, that injury report is I think what Kyle's run out of paper to put names on, you know what I mean? And it's we understand in football that it is a very, very physical sport and that you will have those type of injuries, soft tissue injuries, high ankle sprains, bruises, and things like that. But I think that's why the bye weeks are so important, because it does give these guys a chance to rest. And for anyone who is in favor of extending the college season or the pro season, start looking at some of these injury reports about around week 9, 10, 11, and understand that this game is not one for the faint of heart. And these guys are warriors, they're gladiators, and they go out every single week and they lay it on the line for their respective universities. And I think that's what makes this game unique and what it is, because of the sacrifice that these guys are putting on their bodies. But you got to love it, and that's the one thing about it. You got to love football to do it. And unfortunately, I'm blessed to be able to coach a bunch of guys who love this game.
How do you keep a bye week from killing momentum, because you guys have been rolling? It's a little different from the normal routine.
Well, I think, again, you focus on the little things. And I told the guys a couple of weeks ago, the easiest way to see if complacency is setting in is the details. See if the details are starting to slip a little bit, and as coaches, we have to make sure we're on top of them about all the details. We're going to spend a lot of time today, our first practice, on just fundamentals. I mean, we're going to be in helmets, no pads, no banging, and every time the pads come off, the emphasis is fundamental football: alignment, assignment, stance, first step, eye discipline, hand placement, communication, all those little things that it takes to be successful as a football player. That's what we're going to focus on today. So if we don't line up in one full formation, if we don't game plan anything for Howard, today will be a success if we come out better fundamentally than we came into it. And that's going to be the focus for today, probably going to be the focus again for tomorrow. And throughout this week, we're going to focus a lot more on our fundamentals and details, more so than game plan against Howard, because we'll have a full week of preparation for Howard.
Coach, just since it's the bye week, got a general question for you. You and the other Willie came in at the same time. He's now gone. Just a general question: what does that say about the state of college football? Not even getting 2 years to try to turn a program around.
But it says that the emphasis is on wins, probably more so than anything else. And we're, especially in big money football, and that's unfortunate that a lot of the work, the things that go into this profession and what we do and sacrifice gets lost when the wins don't necessarily come. And a lot of those things are out of our control. Some of them are, and as head coaches, we understand the responsibility that we have. We understand that it starts with us and everything. Wins, losses start with us. But again, I think when you look back, I haven't talked to Willie personally since everything went down, but just knowing him, I think he'll look back on his time at Florida State and realize that he tried to do the right things. And when you feel that way, you can walk away with your head high. That regardless of the outcome, and that's what I try to teach my players. Sometimes you're going to give everything you have, and you're going to come up short. That's just life. Sometimes you're going to get beat out for that promotion, by someone, and you stayed late, you met all your deadlines, you did everything you could, and somebody else is going to get the job. Some of these guys are going to work as hard as they can to be in tip-top shape come pro day, best condition of their lives, and they're not going to get drafted, or somebody else is going to get that free agent spot. Well, the question is, how do you respond? So more so than looking at what's happened, I think the most important thing is to look at, okay, where do we go now? You know, and if I know Willie, he's going to keep his head up high, and he's going to continue to fight like he always has, and he'll land on his feet, and because he's a very good football coach, and his better days are ahead.
Coach, I mean, you said it, just, he can walk away with his head held high, given, everything that he was able to improve on, but is it kind of discouraging? I mean, 21 games, is that the kind of pressure that you guys deal with now on a day-to-day basis?
Well, obviously it is, and it is unfortunate, and we see it at the pro level. We see it at the big-time college level. I don't think it's trickled down as much to this level yet, the FCS level, the mid-major level. I don't know when the last time a coach has been fired less than 2 years into their contract at this level, but it is. There's a lot of pressure in college football to win, and again, that idea of winning is solely in the form of wins and losses on Saturday. It's not, make no mistake about it. People talk about APR. They talk about, guys graduating and being productive citizens in society. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about strict wins and losses. And, I had a coach say a long time ago, I've never seen a coach get fired for having a low APR, ever. Nobody walks in there and says, oh, your APR is 920 or 900 and you got to go. But coaches do get fired for not winning football games. And so this is the landscape that we're in. It's the nature of the position that we're all in as head coaches and assistant coaches. I think that's the thing that people don't really talk about as much. I mean, you got 10 other families that are directly impacted by this decision as well. And so, definitely want to make sure we just keep all those things in perspective. And, it's a tough situation, obviously, being right here in town. This time of year, you don't expect that, being that the season's not over yet. That's usually reserved for that last weekend and that Monday afterwards. But, it's a tough time in Tallahassee, obviously. But because again, I've said it plenty of times, and I stand by it. I want both programs to be successful. I truly think Tallahassee is a much better city. I think the state of Florida is much better when Florida A&M and Florida State are in the news for the right reasons and not for the wrong reasons. And so it's difficult to doing this bye week, because if we were focusing on the football game, it might be a little easier. But now that we're not, it's kind of the storm for both of us, because now you just got to hold all the attention is on that and not who we're playing this week, not that we're ranked and all those things. So, but again, like I said before, knowing Willie, I know he'll bounce back. He'll get back on his feet, and I think we'll all look back on this, and whatever happens in the future happens. We'll see. And but you never want a friend in this profession to go through that. But it does make it real for all of us. All of us head coaches know that this is real, and you can get fired.
Since we're on the topic, I just have one more. You talk about the toughness on families. I mean, you've had to move around in your coaching career, obviously taking your wife and your kids, bringing them here. How difficult is that on families, especially for the wives of coaches?
I think the wives are the unsung heroes in coaching. They're the ones who make all the sacrifices. We make them, but we're making them because we're trying to better ourselves and better our families. We're going from the job of coaching to the job of coaching. That's what happens when you take a job. The wives a lot of times they may be working, have a job in the middle of the school year, or they may be a nurse or teacher, whatever the case may be, and they have to uproot the families right then. Kids are in school, so now you're making those decisions. Do I yank my kid out of school in the middle of the semester? They've built friendships. Most of the time with us, if we're leaving as coaches, we're taking the staffs with us, so you're really building the same bond and relationship with the guys that you were just working with. Well, our kids, they're not bringing the families from their schools to wherever we're going. So it's an extremely tough part of this profession to move around. It's part of it, and I think every coach has that conversation. My wife and I, was one of the first conversations we had. You know, we talked about getting married. Now, do you understand that you may be in another state, not let alone another city, you may be in another state every 6 months or every 12 months. I have friends who've been on 5 jobs in 5 years in different states, you know, and that's just moving people around and around. So it's extremely tough for them and the kids and the families. But again, I do tip my hat to every wife, every significant other, the children. You know, my wife has moved and has moved her and a unborn kid twice. Has been pregnant when we moved before. So it really is a critical time, a part of this whole thing. And I think that's something that people sometimes should consider before we make rash decisions about a coach and his ability to lead a program, and before their contract is up, you know, because again, you're not just talking about that coach, you're talking about his family, you're talking about assistant coaches' families. There's a lot of logistical things that go into these decisions, and I think a lot of times that gets lost when someone just says, well, we're not winning enough, so let's go in another direction. So it's a tough time for everyone.
Coach, do you think those kind of things ever fit into that conversation at all?
No. I don't think they ever come up.